Hello,
Hello,
this is the Knit Girls. I'm Laura, also known as Lala.
I'm Leslie, also known as You Don't Call Me Les.
Humberto's like, it's the 5% of the day I'm awake.
Yeah,
Pay attention to me.
and he's got to be in the middle of stuff. Umberto is Laura's cat. You can see most of him.
Or just the tail.
Yeah.
Hey.
So it's Easter Sunday. It is 4:20. Didn't realize that was Easter Sunday this year.
I did.
All right, Laura. So it is April 20th, 2014. Like Laura said, we're the Knit Girls, and Humberto's like our fourth co-host, at least according to our viewers, who I think prefer our animals more than us. They always enjoy when either Neelix, who is my dog, or Humberto, Laura's cat, makes an appearance.
Yep.
So,
Here you go.
Knitting. Why don't you go first? What are you working on?
Well, I'm trying to work around a cat. I am 2 or 3 rows away from having the bottom ribbing of the antler cardigan fixed. So I had knit this cardigan I finished it in June of last year, and I ripped out 6 inches off the bottom, and it was a bottom-up sweater. So I ripped it out, and I'm picked up all the stitches, and I'm re-knitting the bottom. It's kind of going slow because it became 80 degrees this week in Mississippi.
Yeah.
And
a heavy wool sweater.
Yeah, just does not work. So
especially in Laura's house. Laura is
her
father's child and has a constant
war
with the thermometer thermostat.
I'm refusing to turn on the air conditioning, hopefully till May. So there is that. So I have that on the needles. Are you going to allow me to show my other projects? No, I do not. Here, you sit behind me again. Go up there. You like it up there. Okay, I don't like it though when you're pulling me. Thank you. Alright, so you'll see cat tail, but hopefully not. It'll look like I have a tail. It'll be kind of fun. And he's sharpening his claws to use on me later. So the main thing that I've been working on for the last couple weeks is the Tubularity by Martina Bem. It is on its 4th color.
Wow.
So the first color is Madtosh Light in the cherry colorway. Then there's Gray Trekking. Then there is some Jinx yarn in the colorway from the Annie Light kit, which was based off the book Extra Yarn. And now I'm on Punky Brewster.
Aww.
Because I had my so I was about to switch yarns on Wednesday night when I was with my knit group, and I asked them which one they preferred. And they decided to go next with the Punky Brewster, then with this teal, and then it's going to be something else. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6 and 7 will be something else. Although it is getting quite long.
I was going to say, I really don't see you needing past a 5th color, maybe. Maybe a 6th.
Well, but it's supposed to be 40 inches, and this is like 20.
I would wager that is more than 20.
Well, it's weird. Okay, so here's my question to Martina Bem, who does not watch the show. But if she did, this is my question. I don't know how to measure it, because...
Isn't there a schematic?
There is, but it doesn't really say... Let me pull up the schematic. I'm very...
We're prepared here at the Knit Girls.
Well, I'm not prepared. I mean, I do have my iPad in front of me, which has the schematic in it. So the way she shows to measure it, and this is the first, it's actually, so this is 36 issues, but 36 issues, that's how many issues I have. 36 inches, but actually she changed it. So she has you measuring, I guess, along...
On a long edge.
Yeah, on a long edge, but one edge is longer than the other.
Right.
So, I don't know which long edge that is.
It's...
Like when you...
It's the... So, to start it, you did a garter triangle and then joined it in the round, right?
Yep.
So, it's on the opposite side of where you joined. Is the long side.
Okay, so that's actually the shorter of the two sides.
No, where you joined, you have in your left hand. Opposite side of that.
Yeah. No, this is the opposite side of where I joined.
Yes.
This long side. Okay. So yeah, that's longer than 20 inches. I don't know. Are you gonna hold this side? That would be super helpful.
Just knit until you're sick of it. That's what I do.
That's or until Humberto kills me in my sleep. Yep. So those are the two things. Yep, two things that I have on the needles, and this is being knit on size 3 signature needles, and the ribbing on the antler cardigan, which is a tin can knits pattern, is being knit on the 6, which is 4 millimeters. The 3s are 3.25 millimeters. So, I can get nothing done, and it looks like I have a question mark. He kind of looks like a question mark too. Like,
I'm sorry, my husband just came down here and distracted me, so it's a good thing that you were talking and not me.
Must I ask? I must ask
you don't.
A question.
I couldn't say it on the show. No. So do you have any more works in progress?
That's it. Just those two right now. And I want to get this done for an event we're going to later in the spring to wear. So, because we added an event to our schedule, and we'll talk about that later.
Yep, because we're sheep. Bah. Okay, so I have several things on the needles, but only a couple that I would consider active works in progress that I touched this week, because I had a lot of other things I was doing this week, so I just didn't get as much time for knitting as I would have liked to, but whoever gets as much time as they would like. So the first is Nashville Nights. This is a colorway by Desert Vista Dye Works, and this is what it looks like. It's got sections of black and then sections of like primary colors with some beige and purple and green in there as well. So I did my standard 72 stitches around. I did about 1.5 inches of ribbing, fish lips kiss heel, and then just a standard wedge toe. I cannot find my sock blocker. That's what I was looking for earlier. I don't know where I put them. Oh, they're back there. So I finished this earlier today at a Mexican restaurant in Philly, where I was hanging out.
How is that Mexican restaurant? Because you always complain about not having real true Mexican up there.
Yeah, it's different than the Mexican food that I'm used to, because I'm used to, at least in Mississippi, you know, it's pretty inexpensive, and there's a lot of, basically your choices are steak, chicken, or beef, or veggie if you want to go that way, and then you just basically you choose what vehicle you take to put it in your mouth. Are you going to get tortillas? Are you going to get chips? Are you going to get whatever?
Nachos, yeah.
And this one was much fancier. Like, they had some really cool, everything was made in house. What?
Was it a chain?
I don't think so. It's called El Vez, and it was in Center City, Philadelphia. And it was good. Like, even the margarita I had, they squeezed the juice for the limes on side. Like, everything is fresh. And it was good. And I had a good time, but that is not related to my sock. But anyway, the girl...
It is, because you were going to talk about your Kitchenering story.
Yeah.
I feel like.
The server girl actually stopped and asked all three of us what we were knitting, and, you know, cooed over it, and of course her tip went way up after that. But, yeah, I was there, and I forgot to bring my Notions kit with my darning needle and scissors and everything. And I realized it when I was on the road, and I thought, oh, I'm meeting 2 other knitters. Somebody will have it. Like, somebody will have, you know, a darning needle. Nobody had one. So I just left about 3 feet worth of yarn, which was more than I needed, but I just wanted to be safe. And I just pulled the needles off and left the stitches live, because I just went back and picked them up a minute ago. Because they didn't have any tension on them, so they weren't going to pop out. And even if they did, I could pick it up and re-knit that row. It was no big deal. Mm-hmm. So I started the second sock while we were there and sitting and chatting. Just barely.
Cool.
So I'm just starting on the ribbon.
And you're magic looping those, because you usually magic loop.
Whenever possible, I will magic loop, just because for me it's easier to just pull the needles in, pop everything on a cable, and drop it, and I don't have to worry about it coming off the needles or anything like that. So I am magic looping this on Nova circular needle, which I believe is the Knitter's Pride brand.
Cool.
But I could be wrong. So there's that, and then the only other thing that I barely even really started on was I am working on a design for Kate of Infinite Twist. You'll remember her from the Prairie Ridge shawl that Susan B. Anderson designed out of her yarn, as well as the
Meredith Lee.
Lee Meredith.
Yeah, there we go.
The Robin shawl.
Yep, lethal.
Yep. So I'm starting something new. I'm using the Halo Heather, which is a hand spun,
pretty.
in the dragon colorway. And it's spun actually intentionally not to pool, which is really clever. But I barely have a little tiny bit started.
Oh, that's cute.
Hardly enough to really even show, but I did start it. I've ripped it out several times, but I think I found a stitch pattern that I like. I know exactly what I want to do with the edging, and I just have to knit it and then get it tested. So,
are you knitting those on size 8?
I'm knitting them on size 9s because the yarn is a nice, it's an absolutely beautiful yarn, and nice and bouncy and stretchy. And it is about a worsted, bordering on a bulky in some spots. Because it's hand spun, it's going to have some variation. So I wanted to make sure that I didn't make it too dense, so I went up to 9s. So, yeah, that's pretty much the only thing that I'm working on.
He's just sitting here staring at me.
I can see him, yeah.
Like, he's like, whatever.
He's like a dance monkey.
Seriously. I finished something.
Yay!
Speaking of Susan B. Anderson, I finished my 50-row shawlette, which is a design by Susan B. Anderson.
Yep.
It was knit out of 230 yards of a 2-ply that I spun from Spunky Eclectic, and around 4 yards of Anoro, because I ran out of yarn on the bind-off. I had ripped this back once and reknit it, and it was sitting in a projects bag, and I'm trying to get a few things off the needles. So I decided to finish it up. It's got a really cool shape to it, almost like when I was blocking it, it looked like a spiral. It was kind of like that, or a heart shape.
Yeah.
The bind-off is genius, and Paula of the Knitting Pipeline podcast has a tutorial on it. It is called
the suspended, right?
Yeah, suspended bind off. And what you're doing is, oh, I needed kisses. Thank you. I'm so dirty. Apparently, I have to be tasted. And cleaned. So what you're doing is you're knitting 2 stitches. You're taking the first stitch over the second, and instead of just dropping it down, so it's like a little noose around that stitch, you're leaving it on your left-hand needle and then knitting into the stitch that's behind it and scooching it off the needle. So it's basically elongating that noose stitch so you have a nice, stretchy, more flexible edge. So, and it's really easy if you mess up and accidentally drop it off. It's really easy to fix.
I'm going to have to try that on my next shawl.
It's a nice one. It works well if you have a garter edging, because you're knitting. I guess you could purl in there too, but you're basically knitting every stitch. So
cool. That's
works well, and this is going to be a gift. And I will show you where that other yarn is. Maybe I ran out on one of the edges. Hold on the other edge, because that's the edge you start on. Bind off on. Whoop. Ran out right about there. So it matches pretty well.
Yeah, I think it blends pretty well.
It's got little hints of purple in it, but not terribly so. I'm so glad you came up here, Kat.
He loves you.
Here, you can wear the shawl.
You're his favorite.
There you go. Aw, you look so pretty. And now I get time away from the, well, now he's putting his tail up in the camera. Stop. And that's it for me for finished objects. Do you have any finished objects?
I do. Mine are woven.
Ooh.
So I took, I had some time this week in between testing on a couple of different projects. I had some time to kill, basically, at work. And I decided to go and look through some Ravelry groups that I hadn't looked at in a while. I'm a member of several, I want to say somewhere like 50 or 60 groups, but I have them divided into tabs in such a way that the ones I look at every single day are the ones I'm usually the most active in. So I went and looked at some that were on the other tabs that I, typically I only look at maybe once a week. And I had sorted all my weaving boards onto one tab.
My spinning boards are sorted like that.
Yeah,
like all my spinning's on one tab.
That's a good idea. Mine
all my
are
yarns
sorted
on one tab.
by like the main ones that I use every day. And then there's all the standard Ravelry boards for the love of Ravelry, needles, all that.
I got rid of all those.
I have them on the separate tab. And then I have designers, so like Wendy Knits Group,
I have those on
Lee
my tab.
Meredith, Rachel Coopy, all that's all in one. And then I have all of the people who make me buy things are on a separate tab.
Mm-hmm.
So Stacy, Another Crafty Girl, like all those people are on another tab.
Hello Yarn, Southern Cross.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then I have weaving. And so I was looking through the weaving, and one of the fantastic things about Ravelry is in this particular group, they had all their, they have a brag thread. So show a picture of your finished object in this thread. And it allowed chatter too. And there were several different groups like that. So I would go in, and then it'll tell you at the top there's 1,000 posts with 700 images and 55 people, different unique people.
Yeah. So, and you can just search by images.
Yep. So I just clicked on the images, and so I just, I missed all the chatter, but I could look at all the images. And it was so inspiring. It was like, oh God, why am I not weaving right now? I don't care that I'm at work. So I went over, and I had already bought a rigid heddle weaving class with Angela Tong on Craftsy. And
that class
was a fantastic class. She went over every single thing you need to know for rigid heddle weaving. She has a really simple worksheet you can download for how to calculate yardage and ends per inch and all that stuff.
Yeah, I need to watch it. I watched like the first little bit.
Yeah, it was really good. And she actually want to weave some tea towels, which is kind of crazy, but whatever. It's what I want to do. So that's going to be the next thing. But anyway, so one of the things that kept popping up on the Cricut group, which I can't remember what it's called. Let me go look real quick because it's kind of funny.
I'll have to go look at the Cricut group. Yeah.
The Cricut Club. That's what it's called.
That's awesome.
They kept doing these pooling scarves, primarily with Volmisa, because that's one where you get a lot of yardage.
Yeah.
But I wanted to do one, and not out of Volmisa, mainly because I just didn't want to have that wide of a warp, because it takes a lot longer, and I was impatient.
I understand.
So I went to my stash, and I pulled out this yarn. Let me get the tag. It is Socks That Rock, and they're lightweight, and it's the Holiday Inn colorway.
Yum. I might have to pick some of that up.
So this is what it looks like in the skein.
I wonder if Libby U still has that and stuff.
I don't know. And then
Let's find out.
My weft, I have some yarn that are my friend Ro, who is a beautiful person, sent me some stuff a while back. And this is Yarn Chef Spun Sugar, which is 100% silk lace weight in the Paper Dragons colorway. And it's
pretty
orange.
Very nice.
So it was slightly brighter than the warp yarn, but I felt like it would blend enough. It's kind of blurring out because of the brightness. And it worked out pretty well, actually. I'm pretty happy with it. So this is what it looks like. Let me see if I can stand up so you can actually see it without my earphone popping out. So this is what it looks like.
They do have some in stock, and now it has been added to my cart.
I left the fringe on just because I'm going to give it as a gift, and I don't know whether the person wants fringe or not. So it can be cut off. I did hem stitching, so even if they want no fringe, they can cut it off real short and it won't unravel.
Cool. Hem stitching is cool.
So it's pooled in such a way that the colors kind of bleed into each other. So the green goes to the orange, goes back to this green, purple, back to the orange, purple.
I love it. Mom said you did a wonderful job on it, by the way.
That's very sweet of her.
I showed it to her today.
So it's pretty long. and I really like it. I think it came out really nicely, especially for my first try.
I think it came out gorgeous.
The edges are not perfect, and I guess that's something that people struggle with even when they get good. But like some edges are really nice and neat,
Yeah.
and then some are not so nice.
And that just has to do with your tension, just like in
it just
knitting.
as it wobbles. Yeah. Also, this has not been washed yet, so that's another. That'll help.
So it might even it out.
Yeah. So I think that the orange was a good choice. I think it blends well
Oh
enough.
yeah, I love it. I think it's gorgeous.
I was a little shy about orange at first because it's just not my color typically, but I think it turned out nicely. And then the other was some Noro Tayo, which is a worsted weight.
It comes in a sock weight as well.
It does, because I've
FYI.
knit the Tayo in sock weight before. So it was color 66 for whatever that's worth. I got it at Wool Bearers yesterday, and I got 2 skeins, but I actually got away with only using one for both the warp and the weft. All was one.
So you could do it again.
I could. It's a little shorter than like as a rule of thumb for scarves. I like them to be as long as the person is tall, and then usually plus a little bit.
I agree with that statement.
This one is as tall as I am, but I'm 5'3", so I wouldn't give it.
You need to find someone shorter like Sue. So you
Yeah.
to.
Sue never wears hand knits though.
That's not hand knit.
Well, that's true. Handcrafted. So this is what it looks like. Because the colors
That's gorgeous.
have long streaks in them, because Noro has long color repeats, it looks almost like a sort of a plaid effect.
Yeah.
But
I
then
really
you get like
that.
the abrupt color change at the, where you come to a knot and they've just tied it
Yes.
together with something.
You could always use a black for a weft.
Yeah,
and do
I could. I mean,
a
this was
warp
just,
with
I wanted
the
to
rainbow.
see
That'd be
how it
pretty.
would work.
Yeah.
As a personal note, I would not use Noro again for warp, or do knowing that it's probably going to break at least once.
Yeah.
Your warp yarn actually needs to be strong, so you need to be able to pull on it and it not break.
And that Nora does not do that?
No, it does not.
So maybe use something like a Cascade 220 for the warp and that for a weft on your second one, if you wanted to.
Yeah, I mean, you can certainly use it for the warp, but you just need to be prepared for the headaches that may come.
That's the cotton-based Noro, correct?
Yes, this is almost 50% cotton. So, the edges on this are even worse, because I was in a hurry. I did this in like 3 hours altogether, so I was just in a hurry. I wanted to get it done. So this one I did not do hem stitching. I just did the knotted fringe.
I like the knotted fringe on that.
So,
I think it's pretty.
Yeah, so this one needs a bath as well. They'll both go in the bath after we finish recording, so that I can
So
lay
is
them
that
out.
a gift for someone as well?
I don't know. I don't know that that's nice enough for a gift, because it's kind of long.
I bet you Eloise would take it.
We'll see.
She's
Eloise is
too. I'm
short,
thinking
yeah.
of short people.
So, yeah, that's all the FOs that I had this week. But I'm happy with it. I can see myself having a project on the loom more frequently, because now I feel like I know a little bit more. So
we have that woven scarves book to review. You should do something out of there.
I should actually have it right down here. So
Mom's got my copy because she wanted to look through it, and she's had it for like a month and a half, and that's why we haven't reviewed it. I really need to get it back from her, because she is the stealer of the books.
So, spinning. Do you have any spinning?
I finished a skein of Jacob, so I spun 3 ounces of Jacob, and it looks like that. It was spun, it was given to me as washed fiber, so I carded it on my drum carder into little mini bats, and then I spun it woolen, and it had a good amount of edge matter, but that is mostly out. I finished it by washing it multiple times because the water kept coming out brown, and I wanted it to get the remainder of the dirt out. I'm still picking a couple things out, but it's not nearly as bad. It's a rustic wool.
Yeah.
Jacobs are more of they're very cool because they've got 2 different colors to their coats. They've got that white and the brown all in the same. but they've got horns. They're very
Yeah.
cute. And they were used for ornamental purposes, mainly in England, for quite a while. So, in meat sheep more than fiber sheep.
Mhm.
So it's definitely a coarser wool. I think it would be great lined mittens. Like line it with something else and use this for the outside.
Yeah.
I only have 100 yards. So we'll see. It could also be a lined hat. It's definitely a bulky. So there's a close-up of it.
Well, Jacob is a longer wool, right? So it would resist water better than like a merino.
I wouldn't say it was a super long staple length wool. I would say the staple length on this was 3 to 4 inches.
Okay. I for some reason I thought Jacob was a longer staple wool.
Let me see what it says in Field Guide real fast. Because I feel like it was not super long.
And this was given to you at
It was.
Pipeline,
It was
right?
given to me by Bishop Knit, which was very, very sweet. Never even heard of Carrie Hill. Jacob. Staple length 3 to 7 inches. And this was definitely more on the 3-inch,
So
the
it
4-inch
can be a
mark
little
than
bit
7-inch.
more towards
but
the
it can be
medium
longer.
wool.
Yep. It's 25 to 35 microns. Microns is a measurement to measure softness. The lower the number, the softer it is.
I thought
So
micron was how thick the individual hair was. Maybe that's
It's-
relative to the softness.
Yeah, it's relative to how soft it is.
Okay. Do you have any other spinning that you wanted to talk about?
Nope, well, now I'll talk about CDM in a little bit.
Okay.
How
And
about
that's-
that? You have spinning now.
I do. I didn't get a lot
I know
done,
you.
but I'm happy with what I did get done. So
I want to see.
Laura and I got some bats from.
I haven't gotten them because
We
our
ordered
fiber mule
some.
was fail at getting me bats.
And I
He gave me the rest of the stuff though, but Leslie forgot to give him this.
I forgot to send this to my fiber mule when he went down to see Laura. Well, not to see Laura, but when he went down and saw Laura. That would be weird. So this is Wound Up Fiber Arts.
Very pretty.
And this is in the Open Hearted colorway. It's Superwash Merino Bats. It does have some Angelina in it. When I got it, there were 4 individual bats. And I got it specifically because I wanted to spin a true 4-ply. Could I have done it with some of the sash? Yeah, I could have. But whatever. And so they're individual bats rolled really tightly.
Uh-huh.
And even though this looks the same size as these, it's actually about half gone. Because I spun from the inside and a little bit of the
okay.
outside because it's really densely packed. And up here it's much more squishable because I've gotten most of the inside of it out.
Gotcha.
Because I'm trying to keep the colors sort of together. Not perfect, but just sort of together.
Yeah.
So she's actually got this rolled so well that I could not even, the end would
Find the
be
end?
difficult to find. But yeah, you could unroll it and strip it and spin it that way, but I'm just spinning it directly from the end.
It's pretty.
Yeah, I'm happy with it, and the colors are really nice. The one Laura ordered is also really nice. But not that she
I
would
bet
know.
you it's got purple in it.
And so I've spun one, and I spun it on my Woolly Winder on the Sidekick.
Pretty.
So this is what it looks like. I'm
I
spinning
love
it.
the bit of sparkle.
It would be probably a heavy lace weight single, so I'm expecting it to be probably a DK or worsted weight for the 4-ply,
Yeah.
which is fine, because,
You can make socks out of any weight fiber if you want to
yeah,
make
well,
socks.
and it wasn't necessarily that I wanted to make socks, I just wanted to sort of compare what a 4-ply versus a 3-ply. I expect a 4-ply is going to be nice and round, and that would make me happy.
Yeah.
So I just want to see what it looks like.
Definitely.
So it's just sort of that was our Expand Your Horizons for February, and it's now April. But you know, I'm trying. So
I
that's,
haven't done the 4-ply. I have spun some CVM though, so that's April.
That's all the spinning that I have. Maybe I'll have another bobbin done by the time we record next, but this will be something I'm
awesome.
working on for a few weeks probably.
Yeah, definitely. That's allowed for sure. What else do we have in show notes? So we did. Let's see. We have a book review.
We do, and we both got a copy of this from Mama Linneman for Christmas.
For Christmas, yep. Because she saw me eyeing her copy, and the best way to have me not steal her books is to buy my own.
Yes.
Buy me my own. So it is Spinning and Dyeing Yarn.
Yep.
By Ashley Martineau. It retails for $30 in the US.
Yep.
It is what I would consider a coffee table book for sure.
Yeah, because there are pages dedicated
pictures.
just to beauty shots, which is not a bad thing. See, this is a 4-ply. Look how beautiful it is. Oh.
It is. So it's divided into 4 separate sections. There's fiber identification and preparation, dyeing techniques, spinning techniques, and going professional. I will say that there is much more emphasis in this book on art yarn type dyeing, spinning, and techniques in general than there is what I would consider your basic techniques. So it's definitely more geared towards the art yarn spinner, but there's some wonderful information in here for everyone. The first section is fiber identification and preparation.
Yeah, and I really like, and you'll see this several times in the book, but she has little troubleshooting tips.
Yeah.
So these are basically common problems that people run into in an approachable format. So a common problem, what are my options for spinning fiber into yarn that's machine washable? So she talks about how superwash wools have had the scales removed and how they can be washed, you know, on the gentle cycle. There are troubleshooting tips throughout the book, which I think is very useful, and it allows you to sort of identify with the book, because surely you've had one of these questions as a spinner.
I like the overall layout of the book. You can tell that she's a graphic artist. It's a very eye-friendly book. There's a white background on almost every page with close-up shots.
Yes, she
For
is
example,
a white space fan, and that's a good thing.
The medium fiber, I also like how she's got this small chart at the bottom that gives you cost comparisons versus fine fiber. So just little details that really set the book apart from some other books, spinning books out there on the market.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's definitely a fan of the white space. And every section has basically this layout where it's the close-up picture, information, usually put in to at least 1 to 2, with the line down the middle to kind of break it up. So I like the format of the book. This is actually her washing wool section.
That was exactly the page I had open.
Yep. That's I didn't fill my bathtub. I filled the sink and did 1 bag at a time.
Yeah.
With Dawn dish detergent, but that's essentially how I clean my fiber.
She also does a lot of very approachable DIY ways to do things. So, and we'll show you those as we come to them.
That's what really sets this book apart. So, yeah, that definitely is what sets this book apart from any other spinning reference book. So they have how to build a drying rack.
Right. So with $5 worth of PVC and some plastic netting and zip ties, you can build yourself a drying rack that can be disassembled and, you know, packed away and take up no space.
I love, so she's got all the equipment and processing. She's got a section on woolen, and I like the little charts, the woolen versus worsted characteristics. I'm a sucker for charts because it's a very approachable way to format information.
Yeah, she also talks about the different ways to process fiber and then briefly demonstrates them. So until maybe last year, I had never heard of a picker. I had no idea what it was.
My father would not allow my mother to buy a picker for the house.
That's probably a good idea.
Like when we were kids, yeah, that did not.
Because
the
sucker,
was not allowed.
You know, if a kid got a hold of it, could do some serious damage.
That and a hackle were off limits.
A what?
A hackle?
Oh, yeah, okay. She demonstrates how to do the combing and the carding, and with hand cards and with the drum carder. And then another brilliant DIY, building a hackle with combs from the drugstore, a piece of wood, and some nails.
And actually, I've seen this done with the picks. Like, my kids are all about their metal picks.
Yeah, the hair picks.
Hair. Yes. And doing it with those, they'll give you a little bit of a sharper point than the plastic that she uses. But you could still drill into them because they've got the plastic base. She goes into, I love the gallery section because I find this is what makes it more of a coffee table book in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
She's got a gorgeous gallery section of like different fiber preps, and we know a lot of the people who are in here. So Hobbly Boy is in here. She's in here because she's a fiber artist.
Right.
She owns Nouveau, how do you say that word? Nouveau Fiber Arts.
Nouveau.
And then Jazz Turtle Creations is in here.
I've seen her
So we know
times.
a lot of the people. She also has interviews with different fiber artists like Tina Watson and Lexi Boger.
Yep.
So overall, just a beautiful book.
I appreciated this dizzing from a hackle. I've actually never dizzed anything, but I would like to at some point. And I do like how clear her pictures are on what you need to do to get the roving through. It talks about how you need to pay attention to staple length, and it gives me confidence that I could do it easily, because it's not so, the whole dizzing portion is just these 2 pages, so it doesn't come across as so incredibly complicated that I could screw it up.
Yeah, it's basic overviews of concepts that if you look at it and say, I'm interested in that,
it's not the
you can
fine
find more
tuning of it.
details. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like she's got gradient dyeing.
Yep.
Just an overall easy way, once you get into the dyeing section, to gradient dye. I'm sure there's other ways to gradient dye, but she's also got hand painting, solar dyeing, immersion dyeing,
Yep.
and tie dyeing, and then a gallery of dyed fibers.
So the next section is drop spindles, and while I do not spin often on a drop spindle, I do think that it is very awesome of her, forgive me for using such a stupid word, but it is very awesome of her to show all of these techniques that she shows on the wheel also on the spindle, because some people spin only on a spindle, and so maybe core spinning is going to look totally different to you if you're doing it on a wheel versus on a spindle. And I think that making the time, and she does for kick spindles as well, which I've never tried one, but it looks interesting.
Lisa has a kick spindle.
She does, yeah.
She has tutorials on how to build a kick spindle or how to build a drop spindle, a simple CD spindle. So it's a very inexpensive way, definitely, to get started.
Some more beauty shots of some textured yarn.
Pretty textured yarn in here. How to add beads. She has how to choose a spinning wheel, and she's got the Ashford
Country Spinner.
Country Spinner, because she is more of an art yarn spinner, and that's primarily an art yarn wheel.
Right, because the orifice is so large on that, and the bobbins are so huge that you can get a lot on there without having to separate the bobbins. She's also got how to, as Laura's showing you right now, build a spinning wheel, basically from PVC, a bicycle wheel, and little bits of wood. So, step by step, there are 8 pages worth of directions on how to do it, but it's a very low cost way to try it and see if it's something that you're interested in doing.
She's got picture tutorials of a lot of different techniques, including core spinning locks, fancy core spinning, basics of plying coils, plying bubbles, plying shells, a lot of different art yarn techniques, Navajo plying, food play, sluggy plying, and even using recycled yarn, or mixed media core spinning. So a lot of, and using fabric as to create yarn. So, and then setting the twists on different types of yarns.
She does have a very quick, easy tutorial on making a knitting knotty, which you can wind yarn off of for measuring.
And then a gallery of gorgeous hand-spun art yarns.
And then the 4th section, which I think kind of gives you an idea of who this book is geared towards primarily, is getting professional. So how to take all these beautiful, unique, handmade yarns and find a way to make that a business.
So developing a brand. So inspiration, photography, building your own light box, which basically uses a Tupperware container. So very easy DIY on that. Vending tips, how to check things to check for festivals, things to take with you. selling online, including marketing, dealing with shipping and handling, and then there's a huge back section on
of resources,
both online and reading books and DVDs, and contributors, people who contributed Fiverr. So if you like some of the Fiverr you saw, where you could actually get it from. So it's a very interesting book. It's a book that I could not read straight through. It's you pick, and that's why it's taken us since December to review it. You pick it up here and there and get it's. For me, it's an inspirational book.
Yeah, and I think that I do like all of the DIY ways that you can do things in here. I do like how she makes things approachable. When you come to the beginning of each chapter, rather than seeing it as something you need to read and study, she gives you sort of a brief top list of things, and then resources for if you want to know more, if you want to dive deeper into this particular thing, go here. So I think it's a really good, nice overview book, and like Laura said, it's a coffee table book. It is put out by Barron's, and it retails for $29.99 in the US, $34.50 Canada.
And that is Spinning and Dyeing Yarn by Ashley Martineau.
Yep.
And she's got a blog as well where she actually has video techniques for sale, and we'll link that in the show notes as well. That's handspunartyarn.com. We have a viewer question.
We do. We have lots of them. This is the one we're answering this week.
Do what?
So we have lots of them. This is the one we're answering this week.
Yeah, this is an older one, and mainly I'll tell you why it took us so long to answer this one. Because we had to go look for stuff.
Because it required work on our part. I mean,
when you
let's
ask
be real.
us to show you things, we have to figure out where those things are. And so I finally got some boxes unpacked at the new house and found my UFO bag.
So let's read the question.
It is from L.Y. Semenakis. And she says, show us your oldest UFOs and tell us why they never got finished, is the first thing. So I have 2 UFOs here. I have much more than 2, but these are 2 of my oldest. And the first is my Scrappy scarf.
Oh,
so
yeah.
This uses little bits and pieces.
I remember you got that yarn from Hank of Yarn when she was doing a tasting.
So this was, Hank of Yarn did a yarn tasting, and she wanted a pattern that she could use with all these little bits and pieces of sock yarn, because we made 5-gram balls, and then used them in a way that people could actually create a finished object with them. So this is the start, and actually it's around half done. I really need to finish it.
So let me pause you there for a second. Was this the design for them to use?
Yeah.
So you designed a pattern for them to use, and you never finished the design?
No. Well, I finished. Basically, they got the here to here. Like it was a chevron design, and they could do whatever they want with it. So it's never been published. It's not on Ravelry or anything.
All right. I was just going to say, that would have been hilarious.
No, it's never been published. It was just for 20 people
in the package,
for the yarn tasting. Yeah. So there was no way I could have knit this whole thing. I don't think I had that many scraps at this point. Like, I know some of this yarn is not even yarn that I used, like, that belonged to me. Like, I've never knit socks with that orange and green. Someone gifted that, a little scrap to me. There's some pretty yarns in here. But anyway, it's never gotten done, mainly because I didn't have enough scraps at that point. I do now. And the thought of weaving in all these ends kind of...
You could make it a design feature. There's some shawls that are like that. You just knot the ends together and it becomes fringe.
Yep, and that's definitely an option.
Because they're at regular intervals.
Actually go through and use up some scrap yarns. And there's a tapestry needle in here too. That's pretty awesome. Alright. So that's the first, and that's been living in a Pitaloop bag since 2008, I would say.
It's been a while.
But, yep. That was my first one. Do you have one to show?
I do, and I can't even tell you when I stopped working on this. Maybe the show notes will tell. Maybe this was before Knit Girls. I don't know. I don't think so, because I don't think I knew of Erin Lane until Knit Girls. Stitches South.
Yeah, Stitches South.
So this is an Heirloom bag. That's what made me think of it. I don't think it has the... Oh, yeah, it does right there, the little tag. This was going to be the Cardi Shrug, but I was going to make it longer.
Huh. I don't remember that ever.
You will when you see the yarn. So okay. I did some very, very basic math here to adjust for my size, because I think it was a free pattern and it was only written in one size, so you had to adjust it for yourself. And I was using this beautiful yarn from Tempted, and it's our Luxe Girl, and it's the Afterglow colorway, which is this purple.
It's pretty.
And it looks like I have it on waist yarn, although I really just need to rip it out because A, I'm not this size anymore, and B, I'm not going to have enough even if I was this size anymore to finish it. I just really wanted an FO out of this yarn because it's so fantastic to use.
Yeah.
So this is what it looks like. It looks like a child's garment. It's so small. But, yeah, so I finished, I divided for the arms and then put everything on waist yarn. In reality, I just need to rip it out and knit a shawl out of it. I think I have one more skein of this color somewhere. I think I bought another skein.
I think you have two as well.
Well, I
still don't remember you knitting on
I have two in here, but I think I have a third somewhere.
Think you have a third?
I think I bought it from...
Were you doing every other row on
Irish Diva. I think every 2 rows.
That'll be fun to rip out.
Yeah, I know. I think that's why it's been sitting in a bag forever. So, I don't know if it may be pre-Knit Girls. I don't know. Maybe somebody will remember it. Maybe that poor person who watched us our whole episode thing from January to March.
That's pretty funny.
But, yeah, so that's my oldest FO. Aside from this, I think it's the Caulfield Cardi by Amy Herzog.
I have another one. They are some Opal socks. And they are my first pair of socks that I think I was knitting them from the top down. Look, the second one's on the needle still. And I was magic looping them. And I hate magic looping socks. So they've just sat in a bag. And every once in a while, like if I'm running someplace and I'm really late and I have nothing on the needles, I'll grab these and do like 4 rows. But they're not self-striping, so they're just plain vanilla socks.
Yeah. And
it was one of the Opal Rainforest colorways, and I kind of find them boring, but I should knit them.
I
bet you do what?
I like them.
Well, they're too big for you because one's done.
They're top down. You could rip out the toe.
I could. Well, they might be your size.
I wear like a 9.5. My foot's only just this much smaller than yours.
I know. I'll have to try them on and see. It could possibly go to you, but you couldn't finish knitting them because you have different gauges.
No.
This is a plot.
You need to finish them and then give them to me.
So, this is a bag from a yarn club I was in. It's probably one of my first yarn clubs, and she's since out of business. So it's been a while. Like, she's been out of business. It was that woman who did all her yarn clubs, White Oak Studio. All her clubs.
Oh, the TV yarn and all that.
Yes,
yeah.
All her things was TV yarn. And I still have some of her yarn in my stash, and it's lovely yarn. I need to knit with it. But, yeah, Opal. Boring Opal. So, I'll have to finish this off and
give them to me.
Do something with them. I think they're too big for you, but we'll see. I already have a sock to re-knit for you.
You do.
So. Leslie said, with the yarn mule, didn't tell me she was sending me back those socks that she fixed.
Well, it's because after the show, when we recorded a couple of weeks ago, and I moved.
Michael said you made him try them on.
I did. Well, that was before I moved the heel. But and I tried them on over his socks, and the heel was still like 2 inches too long. But after we recorded and I had already moved the heel, that sock was so tight I couldn't even get it over my foot, like, because of the smaller number of stitches. So
yeah, so I just need to count and reknit it, and I will. Maybe that'll be my trip knitting. Actually, I'm going on 3 field trips this week. Maybe I'll take that with me on the field trip.
You should take your opal socks with you and finish them.
I could take pictures of my opal socks at the zoo. With the pandas.
With the pandas. So the second part of that question is your favorite or most used FO. And Laura and I were talking about this before we started recording, and I am really struggling to find something that I use a lot that I've knit besides socks, because I wear hand knit socks every day of the year, every single day. Unless I'm going to the beach or something, I wear hand knit socks every day of the year because I work in an air conditioned office, very air conditioned office, and even in the summer I usually have a heater on low because they can't balance it for some reason. That is just too difficult a concept. So anyway, so I wear my hand knit socks all the time. I'm finally getting to a point where I can go 2 weeks before I have to wash them, where I have enough, so I can, But anyway, so my favorite FO that I can think of actually came from Tosh in Australia. Tosh Balaz, and this was for a swap. I swapped her something. I think a sweater or something that I knit that was too small. I don't remember what it was. And so she knit.
Was your light? What was the name of that?
It wasn't Lead Light.
Oh,
I gave that to
okay.
Dorian. Or no. I gave that to Karen, I think. But Dorian also knit it. But I can't remember what I gave her. I think I raffled something off and she won. But anyway, so she knit me this, and then she knit me the And So Are You shawl by Rosebeck.
That's pretty.
So this is the Ricky hat, and this is in Madeline Tosh vintage. And it's just a garter stitch hat that's knit flat and then seamed. There's actually a seam in the back, but it's actually done so well you can't see it. So I use this all the time. I use this several times a week in the winter because it's red, which is my favorite, and it's super simple and it slouches in the way that I like, and I like it. So I wore this several times a week. It's getting too warm now to wear them, but there's that. And then actually what I'm wearing is the Batkiss by I don't remember who. And it is in the Starry Starry Night colorway by Dragonfly Fibers. I don't remember the base, but my friend Lori Flutterby's knit this for me. So I take this with me to the office a lot because it's small enough that it's not so bulky, and I wear a lot of gray and black to the office, so it matches.
There you go.
So those are my most well-loved FOs. What about you?
I wear a very simple Noro Silk Garden hat that I knit probably one of my first projects in Mississippi, and it's got a button on it that says, "I am disinclined to acquiesce to your request."
Yep.
And I wear it to work almost every day, coming and going. That's probably what I wear the most often. I wear a lot of fingerless gloves. I have a pair of fingerless gloves that I knit out of this colorway, actually. And I'm actually, this colorway is out because this is Nama Nama, the Booming Jukebox colorway, because I got black stuff on one of them. It's an Ann Hansen pattern, and I'm going to reknit at least one of them, and hopefully the colors will still match. They won't have faded too much, so that I can get rid of the one that's got the black. I think they were the Orchid Mitts, perhaps.
I think that might be right. That sounds about right.
And I knit them, I think, to wear to the Loopy U the year that she taught there. So I'd have an FO from her, out of her stuff.
It's very clever.
So I have tons of Ann Hansen patterns. I need to knit more, but for some reason her patterns intimidate me. I don't know why. They do. I've knit several.
Yeah, I've knit some of them as well, and I like a lot of them. They're very pretty. Like, I can really only knit her accessory patterns because her sweater patterns, while absolutely lovely and probably very immaculately detailed instruction-wise, I feel like a lot of them aesthetically look really good on her body type, the thin, sort of willowy type. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with her designing for her own body type, but I just don't feel like they'd be as flattering on me, so I haven't ever knit them. But I know she's got some great sock patterns.
And you've knit some of her gorgeous shawl
I've
patterns.
knit some of her shawls as well, so yeah, you kind of know what you're getting into with Anne Hansen. You know, she's an established designer, so.
Oh yeah, her patterns are always very well written and very well tech edited.
And you can get she's at knitspot.com, right?
Yeah, and she's got her in yarn line now, which I would love to see.
Yeah,
in
it's
person.
the Bare Natural or something.
Bare
right?
Naked. Yep, and that spawned out of she's got a club that's the Bare Naked.
Oh,
like
yeah,
all her
that's
yarn.
Right. That's right.
So that's it for that question. So we apologize for it taking us so long to answer, because that was one of the first. I think this on the second page.
Oh, wow. We did take a long time. I'm sorry.
We're lazy. Next on the needles for me is gorgeous. So speaking of another designer, I have no idea what just fell on the floor. That I love her design aesthetic, I've bought tons of her stuff, but I've actually never knit any of her stuff. Is Rami Hill. And she's actually having a sale, if you're watching this before the end of the day on Monday. She does an Easter egg hunt on Easter every year, and you can get one of the prizes available to everyone. There's an unlimited number. If you click through her patterns on Ravelry, and if you click on the Easter eggs, it becomes big. And there's a code that you can use, and the third prize code is a free pattern. So I already had this one in my stash because I was in her first two... Not her pins and lace.
It's
because
the 7 Small Shawls
the,
Club or something.
Yes,
right?
It's her 7 Small Shawls that she did. And this is CELAENO, who was, she did, the first one was like stars. And so it is garter stitch with beads added in randomly. I don't think I'm going to add in the beads on the garter stitch. I think I'm just going to do it on the lace edging. Because if you add in the beads on the garter stitch, you need 60 grams of beads. And I don't have that many. That's a lot of beads. That's like 700 beads. And that's a lot of beading.
You're on a bead kick, though.
I am. So these are the beads that I'm going to use. They are like a gunmetal gray. And I have 4 tubes. I got them at Michael's. And the yarn that I'm going to use...
It's a very nice match.
Is this gorgeous light blue. It is Two Guys Yarn Company in their signature weight sock. It's 70% BFL, superwash BFL, 20% silk, 10% cashmere, 438 yards, and this is the Mr. Draper colorway. And it's just absolutely stunning and gorgeous. And I've never seen superwash BFL with cashmere and
I don't think I have either.
silk. Like, that's a really interesting blend to me, and it's super soft. And it wants to become this shawl in the worstest of ways.
So I also have some
on the needles.
Two Guys Yarn Company. They sent us some for review. I haven't decided what I'm going to make with this yet. So mine is the MCN sock weight. So it's 80% merino, 10% cashmere, and 10% nylon, 435 yards. And this is the Olympian blue. Mine is a little bit more periwinkle, where Laura's is kind of more grayish silver blue.
Which is perfect for me.
Yes. I do really love that on their tag they have the QR code so that you could scan it with your phone and go directly to their site. I think that is definitely something that you'll see a lot of people going to do if they aren't already. I also think that it's... This is so juvenile of me, but I don't care. I love that on their tag, they're Two Guys Yarn Company Taming the Rainbow. I think that's hilarious. So this is Jean and David, I think. I'm going to totally get that wrong. Nope, Jean and David. Woohoo! I got that right.
You did. It's Jean and David Draper. And they're on Etsy.
Yep.
And they're Two Guys Yarn Company Co. on Ravelry. And you'll see them in our...
They're advertising in our group. And
Shut Up and Take My Money thread. They're in there. They do solid and tonal colors in every color within the spectrum.
Yeah.
They do some variegated for special events and occasions, but their real focus is the tonal solids, which I love. I think that for something like shawls like this, so So practical.
Yeah, I think it's
they are going to offer a 20% off coupon to our viewers. And it is the girls, I'm sorry. So THEGIRLLS 20. And I'm going to go ahead and add that code into our show notes
and
right
it's
now.
from right now until the end of May. I'm sorry, the 27th of May, 2014. And it ends on the 27th because they are going on a 15th anniversary trip on the 28th.
Which is so sweet.
That is sweet. And I do think that beautiful solids are kind of an underserved thing in the indie community. A lot of people do things based off of pop culture, and that tends to lean towards stripes or variegation in the yarn, which there's absolutely nothing wrong with, but I think that it's nice to also see a dyer who says my main focus is going to be solids or going to be tonals.
Yep.
So
that is nice.
I think these guys will do well, so I'm interested to see what's coming from them. I have to pick a pattern to go with this yarn, but it is very soft, so I'm looking forward to using it. I just have to figure out what I want to make with it.
And they're giving us a skein of their standard, which is their fingering weight, light fingering, 75% superwash VFL, 25% nylon. It's 463 yards, so great yardage in the bright chartreuse colorway. So one of y'all can win this.
It's very
What
springy.
we would like you to do is go over to Etsy.com/shop two guys yarn. There we go. And check them out and post your favorite colorway or base. Oh, a good thing to mention about the 20% off coupon is if you love the bright chartreuse, but you want to try it in the signature sock base or in the MCM base,
something they don't have listed.
They'll do customs with the 20% off coupon
Yep.
as well. You just need to send them an Etsy convo.
Yep.
So that's very cool, and thank you, Jean and David, for bringing your lovely dye into the world, but also for sending us some skeins to play with, because we like playing with stuff.
Yeah, we like introducing you folks to new and interesting dyers as well. So there's that. What else do we want to talk about?
Things. I finished processing my CVM, and that is the Expand Your Horizons for this month. So that goes into favorite things. This whole bin is full, and actually there's 4 bats that don't fit in this bin. They're filled with sheepy goodness.
So how many ounces did you end up with?
I'm thinking around 14.
Out of how much
smells so good.
of a fleece?
2 pounds.
2 pounds fleece. That sounds about right. Everything that I've heard says you lose somewhere between 35 and 40% when you process.
With the finer fleeces, you actually lose more.
Oh, wow.
From what I've read. Or CVM especially. You lose a little bit more. So, 14 ounces is a good bit. It's not going to be... I was hoping to get a sweater's worth out of it. We'll see after I spin it.
You could, I mean...
What happens.
Depending on what weight you get, you could stripe it in with other hand spun.
Yep.
Like in the yoke or something.
Yeah, there are some very cool sweaters that do different variations on the yoke, or I could just do a yoked sweater like the Hero with different naturals as well.
That would be beautiful in different natural wools.
Yeah, I've only spun around an ounce, but I'm getting it wants to be a light fingering. So I'm going to 3-ply it and see what happens from there.
So it wants to be a light fingering as a single, or?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, more like a lace weight single. So, it's pretty skinny. I'll show you all the bobbin next week. I want to get at least 2 ounces on a bobbin before I take it off and show y'all.
So you have listed a Mama Linneman Samantha sweater.
So, my mom brought over a lot of my toys from a child the other day because my parents are moving and they are cleaning out their house. And I was going through them, and I had an American Girl doll growing up, and my mom knit her a lot of different clothing, including
the sweet
little sweater, which was steeped
Wow.
It is out of brown sheep yarn, I'm thinking. It's a natural wool, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And it was one of her outfits. I think I have like 2 or 3 sweaters that Mom knit for her.
That is crazy.
So I thought I would share that with y'all.
That's super cute.
So she's got a lot of outfits, but also some hand knit and some sewn outfits as well.
So what are you gonna do with that?
I don't know. I'm keeping Samantha. She's going to be one of the things I keep. I don't know how much stuff I'm going to keep. I guess that's something that you come to as like a 30-year-old. Like, you have so much stuff from your childhood, and I think I'm going to keep that. I'm going to keep my Rainbow Brights. I had the Rainbow Bright house and all the Rainbow Bright dolls. But I think the Barbies I'm going to give to my nieces. I don't know. We'll see. I might keep 1 or 2 things, and because I don't have kids. If I had kids, it would be different. I would definitely keep them, but I don't have kids. I have some original My Little Ponies, and the ones that I don't want of that, I might send to Casey's kids. We'll see.
Although the design now and the design then.
Oh, totally different, and I think that's hilarious.
I think it is too. I think I'm going to avoid getting on this whole feminist anti-objectification rant, because trust me, I could very easily. But it's just so crazy how the dolls change, like with the ages, and how My Little Pony has transformed. It's now like this cult thing, but how their eyes are so big now. It's like these big anime eyes, and it's just crazy to me. But that's cool. Funny. That sweater is super cute.
Yeah. But I thought I would show you, because that's something that, like, I have sweaters Mom knit for me too, but I thought that was super cute.
It is.
I have a customer service awesome story to say. So, my drum carter has a pin that's about the size of this tapestry needle that goes in the gears, not in the gears, but it goes and holds the, what the drive band goes around to make it go in place. So the pulley system, it goes and holds that, like, piece in place, and mine kept falling apart. And so I texted Elizabeth of Spotted Alpaca Circus, who is who I bought it from, and she emailed Otto. And this all happened yesterday afternoon, and she texted me on Easter Sunday to tell me how to fix it.
Oh, nice.
Because she wanted me to be able to fix it right away. And I thought that was amazing. Like, I did not expect to get an answer till, like, the end of next week. Like, I thought that was amazing customer service.
That's awesome.
So that's the perk of buying from someone who's smaller and not a big box store.
Yeah.
Is you can text them on a Saturday and be like, I'm having this issue, and they will answer you. And email the person who made it. And what it is when they drilled the hole, my hole's like 1/4 of a millimeter too big or something. So it's a little bit too big. And so he just has me... I wrapped a piece of Scotch tape around the middle and just put it in.
Make it a little bigger, yeah.
Yeah, it stays.
But the fact that he knew that, and he knew what to do...
Oh, yeah.
...is nice, so...
That was amazing, and they got back to me on an Easter Sunday, which was crazy.
Yeah.
I've been talking a long time, and we both took craftsy classes, so why don't you go first?
Yeah, so like I mentioned earlier, I took the Angela Tong craftsy class, which I really, really... enjoy craftsy classes, because not only do you get them forever, you can go back and review them. Like, I went back the next day when I was, or a couple days later, when I was trying to finish off my fingering weight scarf, and I was like, I forgot how to hem stitch. I got to go back and look it up. And so within the class materials, you can do a word search and find, like, I could find hem stitch immediately and jump right to that point. But also, like, there were some things in the class that she was teaching that weren't related to what I was particularly looking for knowledge on at that point. Like, she spent some time on one of the class looms, which was no, it's not. It was an Ashford something, like a 24-inch rigid metal loom. I can't remember what it was called. But on the underside, it becomes a warping board, and so you put it in the pegs and you warp the yarn. And so,
that's interesting.
Because that wasn't relevant to how I was going to be warping, I was able to skip that really easily. and you can.
The Craftsy platform I found very easy to
I agree.
navigate.
And the teachers are always there to answer your questions, and if you post a picture, they're really responsive and, help you figure out, well, your edges look like this because of this, and, I find it very useful, very value-packed for your money, because, if I were to take this class in a local shop, I could probably do it in 4 hours-ish, and maybe I would pay $45, $50, maybe a little bit more, depending on whether or not I was providing materials. But when the class was over, that would be it. I couldn't call Angela up on the phone and say, hey, could we do a web chat real quick and you tell me what I'm doing wrong? Whereas with the Craftsy class, essentially you can. You post a picture. And you
can crowdsource because people have already asked questions, and you can skim through their questions and see what they've asked about.
So I just think it's a really good value for your money. And if you are considering taking a Craftsy class, if you could click through our site, theknitgirls.com, with 3 L's. We have a link on there, and it gives us a teeny tiny amount of money every time that you decide to sign up for a class.
Yep. I did one of their free classes because on my sweater I'm looking to short row the back of the neckline, and there is a free Craftsy class on short rows done by Carol Fellner, who's designed 1.5 million things.
Yeah.
And she's a wonderful designer. I've knit her ice sweater in the past. But I think I went looking, and I've looked through it before, when I did bust shaping on my Atelier. I just clicked in that section, but now I was just sitting here knitting ribbing, and I was like, I'll watch the whole thing, because I'm just trying to get an idea. And so she actually has 4 different techniques on doing short rows, so I think I'm actually going to work my way through the class.
That'd be fun.
And do the swatches. It is a free class, which means that the instructor is not there to answer questions. It's other people in the class, but it's free, so I don't expect that. And it is shorter than their typical classes, but they have a wide variety of free classes as well as paid classes.
Yeah, there's a couple. There's one on watercolor painting that I'd like to take. I'll have to sign up for that one eventually, but I have several that I've paid for, and they're in my home room or whatever they call it, that I just need to watch, that I just haven't taken.
Yeah, there's a ton that I need to watch.
Yeah,
I'll get there. It's good. I found for when I'm doing something like knitting ribbing or this thing, I can
where you need to be distracted in order to keep going.
To keep going, yes, definitely. I am wearing a Patchwork Threads t-shirt. They are my new favorite t-shirts. I've got them around a month ago, and I find myself grabbing them more and more often out of my closet, and even wearing them to work on Fridays when we can wear jeans and a t-shirt. They are the American Apparel t-shirts that, if you've gotten some Ravelry t-shirts in the past, that nice, soft cotton.
Yeah.
And they are primarily designed for quilters. I'm not a quilter. I don't care. I like bold geometric designs.
Yeah, that's basically, it's the geometry kind of lends itself to a quilter.
And she's got one that's a V-neck that says I make, and I really want to get that one. That was going to be my reward for finishing a pattern design, but we're going to Maryland Sheep and Wool, so I'm going to save money for that.
So moving into the next thing, there was this whole guilt triangle, because I live only 3 hours from Maryland Sheep and Wool, but I hadn't planned on going this year because I really don't need anything, and even though our very sweet friend Jane had asked me a while back, was I going to go? Did I need somewhere to stay? And I had told her no, because I didn't need to go. Because I knew if I went, I was going to buy things. Maybe not even $100 worth of stuff, but still, I knew I was going to buy things. And I just don't need things. But then there was this whole guilt triangle, because my friend Suze, who I haven't been able to get together with very much lately, because she's got...
Y'all are having conflicting schedules.
Yeah, our schedules just aren't meshing, and she's got a lot of new work stuff she's trying to handle, so it's been hard to get to see her. And then Laura and I talked about Laura coming up, and my friend Jess is coming, and so it's this whole guilt triangle of, well, if Laura goes, then maybe Suze will go, and if Suze goes, I bet Laura will book her ticket, And then there's Jess in the back who's like, well, I'm going anyway, you know.
You better come because I want you to go. Yeah.
So
I love, if y'all probably know this, Maryland Sheep and Wool is my favorite of the events that we go to. It's always been my favorite. I've gone since I was a child. It's just, I love that event. And they've been doing it for over 40 years. They got their act together.
Yeah.
They know how it goes. And there are so many vendors there that I just like BSing with. Like, I love talking to Babs of Miss Babs.
Yeah.
I love talking to Steph of Loop. I love talking to the people behind Into the World. Cooperative
Chris and
Press,
James.
Shannon.
Yeah.
I love seeing
Elizabeth
Shannon.
Green, Musselman.
Yeah, there's so many people that I just love to see and just hang out with. And just talk with. And there's so many interesting people that go there. It's just such a wonderful event. It's my favorite event. I know Leslie likes Rhinebeck better, whatever.
The only reason that I say hands down I prefer Rhinebeck is A, you can get lamb chili at Rhinebeck. Sorry, but it's delicious. And B, it's usually cool enough to actually wear hand knits. I run hot because I'm a fat lady and I have a lot of flesh, and so I warm up very quickly. Like today we were outside and I was downtown in Philly with Dorian and Gwen, and it was maybe 55, and it was windy because it's downtown and there's all the buildings and it's like wind tunnels. And I was totally fine being outside with this real light cotton sweater. Like, that was enough for me. I was totally fine. Whereas at Maryland, it could be cool. Like, it's only 2 weeks from now, so it might be really nice, or it might be 95 degrees. Like, I don't know.
Yep.
So,
but anyway, I've had a lot of stress at work lately, and I was just feeling down, and I was like, I really just want to go. I want to take a day off and just go. So we are going to Maryland Sheep and Wool. I booked my ticket. Southwest now flies out of Memphis, which made it a little bit more affordable.
Yeah.
I could get direct flights both ways, which has never happened before, ever.
So maybe you'll get home before midnight.
I know. Look, I'm arriving. I'm getting in at 9 o'clock on Thursday. But I'm leaving early on Sunday because all the later flights were like $300 one way. And I was like, that's ridiculous. And they weren't direct. So I'm leaving at, like, my flight on Sunday leaves at 9 a.m. or something crazy.
Yeah, I know. Jane already told me that.
But, so I won't see y'all on Sunday, but we'll be there Saturday. And we'll be hanging around Maryland on Friday and going to Rita's Italian Ice, because one of the guilt triangles that Jess said if I go to Maryland Sheep and Wool, she will buy me Rita's Italian Ice. So I'm all down with that. My sister-in-law is working on my brother to have him come with her and the babies. So I'm just super excited. It's my favorite event, and I was bummed about missing it because I was being a responsible homeowner, but I'm saying screw it.
So yeah, it'll be fun. I'm sure that we'll run into people, and
there's no podcaster meetup. I've looked in the Ravelry group, but you are welcome. If you see us at all, please stop us and say, hey, I will bring Knit Girls pens. I will probably put them in my suitcase right now because otherwise I will forget. And you are welcome to pen, not pin.
Writing
in
pen.
The South, they're both the same word. They're stylus pens. They're very cool.
Yeah.
So we have those rather than buttons now because we're switching it up.
Yeah.
But please, please, please stop us. We are never too busy to say hi and chit chat, especially at Maryland. Maryland's just our downtime, act goofy, run around.
Our friends will totally ditch us, though.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like Jess will not stay. Jess and Jane will not be near. So please stop and just keep on trucking, which is part of what I love too.
Yeah.
Like, they have their game plan.
We know it's a limited campus, like
it's easy still. It's a big event, but it's still easy enough to be like, hey, let's just meet up at the sheep ring and your cell phones still work. So
yeah, that's true.
Rhinebeck there's so many people at Rhinebeck.
Yeah.
You have problems getting cell service. So I'm just super excited, and we'll see how it goes, and please stop us. Don't be a stalker.
You sound like you're begging. Stop begging.
Don't be a stalker. Come say hi.
Okay, so let's do our 200 episodes 4-year contest. Because we have 1 fiber and 5 yarns, whoever we pick that we can tell they're a spinner, they win the fiber.
There you go.
The first person that we can tell is a spinner, they get the fiber.
There are 451 people.
Okay, so I've got, let me click done there. Between 2 and 451, I'll hit generate. 28 is the first, so that'll be on the second page.
See?
And thank you all for such funny...
Oh, it was so much fun. Grammy Knitterbug. She loved it. Oh, she's from Louisiana. Fun. I hope she's going to,
Vicksburg?
Yeah, I hope so. She loves all the colors. It does not look like she is a spinner, because she is no hand spun. So I'm going to give her, since she is a lover of all the colors, Smushy Sock Yarn in this lovely brown. And we are totally not going to remember who got what, so please, when you PM,
yes.
you're going to PM me, Laura, for this, Grammy Knitterbug, and please tell me what you won. Otherwise, I'll have to go rewatch myself, and that freaks me out. So
the next prize will either be the fiber, or it will be this McClellan fingering for me.
Okay,
so
pick a number.
The number will be 171, which should be on the 6th page. Maybe. Yes.
Nope, you are a liar.
7th page.
You are a liar who lies. What was it, 171?
Yes.
It is knit on the floor. She says she doesn't have a specific... Oh, she's in Ontario. Fun! Cool. But she loves when the two of us are recording in the same location. It's just like old times. Yeah. Congratulations on 4 years. Well, hopefully we... Oh, and she loves blues, pinks, pastels, and purple. So that would be perfect.
Yes.
Hopefully we'll get to record at Maryland.
Is she a spinner?
She is... Yes, she is a spinner. Well, she is hand spun in her stash.
Sweet. You're getting this.
She's a spinner.
So when you PM me, just tell me that you won the Cloud Lover fiber, and send me your address, and we'll get it shipped off.
Yeah, she's a shocked spinner. Ooh. Ha ha ha! I'm a stalker. All right.
All right. So we're gonna hit generate new number 273, which will be 8, 9, 10, 11th page. Should be.
That is, oh, she just ordered her first spinning wheel. That is PCT Knitter.
Cool. PCT.
And that is Linda Rostad. And she loves the segment when you answer a question. She's learned so much from the two of you about knitting and spinning. Just ordered her first spinning wheel because of you.
Aww.
Keep up the friendly conversation with all of us. How sweet.
That is sweet. So, Linda, you are going to get the McClellan fingering. So just PM me and tell me that you won the 3 Irish Girls yarn with your address, and I'll get it out to you.
Alright, next is going to be the Continuum and the Oxygen colorway. So whoever wins this will get some self-striping Continuum, which is their MCM base.
75, which will be on the 3rd page, the very last post.
Hop to 75. Hop, 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 hop. 75?
75.
It is Sandrarati, who's been a member of our group for a long, long time. She is also from Canada. She's from British Columbia.
Cool.
And she liked the socks that I made you. Like 99% of the people.
Because it was the most recent, like, really funny thing. That's a lot of people also like when you had that training thing and I made you blush because the guy was cute.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was funny too.
I like the part where you were crying in the closet.
Yeah, there was that. Okay, next winner is going to get Kirby Werby Unicorn Tail in the Sparkle base. And that will be number 247, which should be the 10th page, I think.
247 is Jaxie985, who is Linda from Maine. She says, congrats on 4 years of podcasting. Between the podcast and SSK, we both created a terrific resource for knitting ideas and attitude and entertainment. She hasn't seen all of our episodes, but can serial watch sometimes and find them completely enjoyable. I'm so sorry. I loved when Leslie blasted past the heel turn on a sock in a recent episode and still considered herself the winner of the speed contest between friends. That was a lie. It's been lovely seeing the empowerment Lala is getting via her home purchase. Rock on, ladies. Thank you. That's so sweet. Thank you, Linda. Okay.
All right, last winner, and that is for what?
The Monet colorway of Jitterbug.
That is going to number 370, which would be 12, 13, 14, 15. 15 page?
270 or 370.
370, yeah.
And that is Chaotic Hooker.
Oh, cool.
She loves when Skype is all crazy. We still just roll with it. And that's Amber from Portland, Oregon. So thank you, Amber.
Wow.
So contact me, Lala, and tell me you won that. Fabulous. Oh, she likes black and dark purple. That might not be the best color for her.
I'm sure she'll find something nice to use it for.
Alrighty. So I think, is there anything else on the show notes for this week?
No.
Oh, SSK. We've got some, the SSK class registration is up.
Mm-hmm.
There is a contest going on over there, and Leslie has a question for y'all. So go check out the SSK group. If you are not a member of our Knit Girls group, we invite you to do so. We've got contests, cool chatter, lots of stuff going on there.
Some great vendors with cool stuff.
Yeah.
There's always
and
good stuff
that's
there.
where all our contests take place, including the one for the two guys.
Yep.
This week. So, thank you so much, y'all, for spending 4 years with us. I read every single one of those comments. And
I still have about 70 left to go.
So sweet.
Yeah.
And mostly about me messing up Leslie's socks.
But you do so
or
with
the
good
deer
humor.
hat. The antler hat was a good one.
Yeah, that was a good one. I like it.
But there were lots and lots of love in that thread.
Mm-hmm.
So we really appreciate it. And y'all are why we continue podcasting. So thank you so much.
Yeah. So, yep, 4 years, 200 episodes down.
201 episodes down now.
This is true. So, who knows where the future will take us.
Infinity and
But
beyond.
for now, it's going to take us to Maryland Sheep and Wool in 2 weeks. So, if you see us, definitely say hi. And
don't be a stalker.
Until then, y'all have a good one.
Bye, y'all.
Bye, y'all.